Hello everybody and welcome to the Highly Suspicious Podcast with Louie and Preston. I barely pronounced any of that. My name is Louie.
I'm Preston.
We are reporting once again live from the Trap House on this late night occasion. Before we start, I just wanted to say, fuck our football team. Anyone who has any faith in it at this point is just going to be filled with nothing but disappointment because the program is cursed. Our coaching is terrible.
Dude, the traffic was so bad. I had to
go
by the stadium. It was insane. An insane amount of people.
It's awful. And
I didn't hear that of the game.
They crowd control it so bad. Like, they cut lanes off instead of keeping all the lanes. Like, they partition shit off. Mm-hmm. Like, whoever designed that shit is fucking stupid. But that's a story for another day.
Different rant, different time.
So, yeah, I do want to talk about this Travis Scott thing. It's all in the news right now. It's all anyone's talking about. It just happened last night when we're recording this. I'll tell the basic stories, but the intricacies are kind of more interesting. And interesting is kind of a morbid word because this is like a tragedy.
Oh, yeah.
And it's fucked up. And obviously condolences to all of the families and anybody who lost somebody and the people that were injured too, because there were a good amount of people injured as well.
Yeah, there were so many people injured.
So there was a music festival that Travis Scott created called Astrofest. It's been going on for a few years now. It's like an established thing. It's not like the first time they've ever done this. And they have it in Houston. Okay. This time the crowd was too wild when he was performing and they were pushing everybody to the front. And because of that, 8 people got crushed and asphyxiated.
Mob. Yeah. Like, that's basically what a mob equates to, is just a swarm of people. If there are enough people to push down fences and shit and bust in, like, that's just an insane amount of people.
A lot of fucking people.
They were already at, like, a max capacity when people started doing that shit. And there are always issues at big shows like that. Sometimes there's just not enough water, not enough food. That's why there are medical teams there, is in case of shit like that. And people doing fucking drugs and, like, sketchy ass shit. Because it's just a little bit of a chaotic environment.
I agree wholeheartedly. And you haven't been to as much, like, music festivals and shit as I have.
Definitely
not saying that I've been to a lot. But I went to Rolling Loud over the summer, and there were a fuck ton of people. And when Travis Scott performed, I didn't want to get into the front, especially because I was, tired and shit. But those shits are not for the faint of heart. You have to fight the crowd. Yeah. You have to make sure you stay hydrated.
You can literally get crushed.
A lot of these
that's what happened to people. That's how people got injured at this shit, is getting, like,
they were crushed
stampeded, basically.
Asphyxiated.
Yeah, like,
it's
you
just
can't
not for
fucking
the faint
breathe
of heart.
if people are stepping on top of you. Like,
you gotta be...
It's crazy, man. Shit like that shouldn't be able to happen, though.
So, of a lot of the injuries, I think the only the deaths were, like, asphyxiation from being crushed, and there were 8 of those, and there were, like, 40 people that were injured, and a lot of it was, like, heat exhaustion, alcohol poisoning.
Mm-hmm. Alcohol poisoning is way easier if you're fucking dehydrated, too, though.
Absolutely.
And you don't have access to food. Like, that shit's so overpriced at shows. That's a consistent thing. Like, even if it's staffed well, there's just never enough to take care of that many people. They always over capacity it.
It is kind of fucked up that it is like that. But that's a music festival thing in general, and not a Travis Scott particular thing.
No.
And all the backlash is on Travis right now. And our girlfriends were just talking about it, saying, oh, he wasn't doing anything. There were videos where he wasn't doing anything. And like you were
saying, I saw a massive crowd.
This is to an extreme, but this is a pattern. This is something that happens. People get carried out of those concerts on stretchers all the fucking time because they're always on a million different drugs. They're always... And that's not even specifically talking about Astrofest. Again, this is not
like
to
we
victim
said, people
blame
just do
anybody.
crazy shit at festivals, and, like, it's a chaotic environment. It's gonna happen.
But at Forecastle, at the Playboy Cardi concert, people were getting stretched out of there. People were
Like I said, it happens everywhere, and
it's not
a
like
lot
they
of the time
stop
it's
the show.
dehydration.
They're
or
not
alcohol
supposed
poisoning.
to. They're not supposed to stop the show when that happens.
The show must go on. My thing is, there was just so many people. The video that I saw of everybody chanting "Stop the show," it wasn't that many people compared to the crowd. It was not that many people who were like there, realized what the fuck was going on. Like,
and think about how loud the music is.
I'm sure. And when you're performing, there is just like a disconnect. Like, that's obvious.
Yeah.
So, like, it sucks because you want to be able to blame somebody.
Yeah.
But there's not exactly one person to blame.
But you can't say like the security maybe wasn't up to par, or
the people who
design
were there
of it wasn't like. But there's obviously something that comes with the territory of being in Houston. It's going to be fucking hot. They try to do it in November to supplement that,
which I understand. It's still probably hot. Yeah.
Because it's Houston. Because it was still hot here until like a fucking week ago. And we barely live in the South.
Yeah, man.
But there's also the detail that has come out that there was somebody going around there fucking injecting people with a strange substance.
People
security
do get
guards
drugged at shit like that. It's
but
such a large crowd. That is different.
Can you imagine getting needled at a concert? I would be tripping.
I know.
Because you don't know what the fuck.
Okay, so that does happen in certain scenes, though. There are certain crowds who are rowdier than others, and depending on what the show is, if you go to certain artists, it's entirely possible that they're drawing a crowd of sketchy motherfuckers who are going to do shit like that because it's an environment where they can get away with it.
I got my phone swiped at a music festival.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the same level, but these
but people will try to slip shit in people's drinks and fuck with people. And some people go into mosh pits just looking for a fight, like a release, a fucking
I think it's scarier to think about some of that because sometimes there isn't,
and there are always people just looking for
a
fight in mass crowds like that.
That too.
There are confrontational motherfuckers in the world. That's what they want. That's what they want to do. We were talking about that on the last episode. There are people who would come into school at 7 o'clock in the morning and just want to kick some ass, for no reason.
There probably is a group think aspect of all of this where if everybody's pushing, I mean, you're pushing too. You could be inadvertently pushing, but
and realistically, the people at the back of the crowd who are trying to get closer and closer don't know what's happening at the front of the crowd where people are getting fucking crushed.
Yeah.
There is no communication. We are not on the hive mind. People are bad at communication these days. It's just part of society.
I think music festivals are not designed for everybody.
No.
And I'm not the healthiest person in the world, but I have size on my side as an advantage.
I've said the same thing where, if I cross the street and I'm jaywalking, you're not going to hit me. You can see me.
Yeah.
You're not going to hit me. That's the truth. I wouldn't do it if I was a foot shorter. I know that for sure.
Yeah. They might look right over you if you're 5-something.
Tall privilege.
But I see it you've been to Kentucky Kingdom, right? The amusement park.
Yeah.
So they have the wave pool there, and they have the big kahuna there where they have the really big waves, and they blow the whistle.
That shit'll drown you.
They blow the whistle in a minute, and it's always a fucking 6-year-old struggling to breathe.
Louis, that's why they
can't handle the waves. Get out of the water,
Louis. That's why they have a break at the wave pool too, though. Is so people can catch their fucking breath.
Yeah. Well, they only do the break to fucking save people.
Yeah, like I said, you just gave me flashbacks to childhood in a way I didn't know I could. That was very relatable. I felt like I was drowning for a second.
So another thing, I think people are blaming Travis for this thing as a social justice,
like I said,
some social media, woke shit, because it's a big thing on TikTok to call this They've been calling it like a satanic sacrifice on TikTok.
That's conspiracy crazy shit. And
but it's popular.
Louis, there are people trying to say it's the crowd that black artists bring. There are racist motherfuckers out there who are saying shit like that.
Yeah.
And that's incredibly fucked up.
It is fucked up.
It's that is not the case. If you've ever been to a show like that, there is so much variety. Like, way more than you would expect most of the time.
I'm sure Astrofest is fucking white.
Because, at this obviously, you're a fucking idiot if you think a bunch of young white dudes don't listen to Travis Scott. Like, I'm sure it's plenty of privileged motherfuckers who actually like it. Some of them actually like it. Some of them are just like there to party like a wild animal. And
he's talking about me.
Is that spit? Those are both you.
He's talking about me, word for word.
Word for word. Just wants to party like an animal. Privileged white boy. That's great.
Rolling Loud was so fun, but I'm never doing something like that again. Just because it was like so fucking crazy. Like, I don't need to be fighting people like that.
For real. I like stuff that's a little more casual.
Yeah,
like
more intimate venues.
Like Forecastle. Like some more hippie shit. Forecastle's got enough variety. But like there are some things where you can go and people will just be camping out. Stuff like that is an entirely different vibe. Where you're just hanging out the entire time.
Yeah.
Versus some crazy shit.
So I'm going to pivot a little bit here unless you have something else to say about the Travis thing. You just went to a My Morning Jacket concert.
It was really fun. The light show was amazing.
Yeah.
So good. Like
a lot of special effects. I almost wouldn't expect that.
Just smoke and really good lights. The way they have it rigged, it's like a diamond pattern repeating, and each light can move individually. So you can get this like, almost like how, have you ever seen a cuttlefish like doing some crazy patterns and shit?
Yeah.
Kind of like that. And each light is like a spotlight, so it can go out into the crowd and shit. They also had a fucking disco ball. And did you know that most disco balls are made here because we have a disco ball factory in Louisville?
In Louisville, Kentucky, there's a disco ball.
We have a monopoly on disco balls.
See, these are the fun facts that you don't get anywhere else. We be spitting game on here, and they don't even realize. They don't even appreciate it.
That's too funny.
It's facts. Did you go and see anything else in St. Louis?
Not really. We went to the aquarium, but we had to leave pretty quickly. We didn't have enough time.
That's too bad. I like to take my sweet ass time at an
It wasn't a big aquarium, though. It was kind of...
Really?
It was weird. It was like in a...
I've been to that aquarium. I like
mega shopping center thing. It was a little condensed, and I think it was mainly for kids because there were a lot of interactive exhibits.
I'm a kid guy.
Which was cool.
I love interactive shit.
But...
If you were off the juice, you'd think that was fun as fuck.
We stopped at a dispensary in Illinois on the way there, in Mount Vernon. Dope. I loved it. Smelled very good in there. I wore my Dare hoodie on accident.
I can only imagine.
I wore my Dare hoodie on accident, and both the people that I interacted with pointed it out to me and like laughed a little bit. They liked it. Well, inside joke. It was great.
Well,
congratulations to drugs for winning the war on drugs, you know.
Drugs stuck it out like Vietnam. They knew their turf, goddammit.
For sure.
They played to their strengths.
They just played the classics over and over, and that was the game.
Addiction versus the U.S. government. Who would have thought that it would have ended up like that?
Our Airbnb was really interesting. There were so many beds. It was one of those like extended stay ones too. Even though we were only there for one night, we just wanted to stay somewhere nice.
With more.
There was like a whole fucking dining room space we didn't use. There was a full kitchen. They had Pop-Tarts laid out, and
that sounds like my kind
like
of
a Keurig.
There's something else I wanted to talk about.
What do you want to talk about?
So I also wanted to talk about this one story that I saw over the weekend. I thought it was very, very interesting. Just because, it's some anti-cop shit, so it's no different than a lot of the shit that I usually watch. But it was kind of different, so I thought it was worth talking about and telling you about. So there was a video put out by the San Diego police where this dude comes in contact with fentanyl at a drug bust. But he doesn't touch it. He makes no physical contact with it. He's in the room and he sees it and he drops to the ground like he's having an overdose. And this was a video, edited and released by the police department. But experts are questioning the validity of it because you can't do that just by being in the air with it.
Yeah.
Like, you have to physically touch it. You can't just fucking overdose on it by being in the same room as it. Because, you can ingest, like, a certain amount and it won't kill you.
Huh.
So,
that's fucking
it's almost
weird.
As if
that's dumb on
their
part.
It's almost as if it's like, I don't think it's edited, but it sounds like this dude really, like, maybe he thought that it would do that.
It was like a placebo thing?
Yeah, because maybe they're not educated enough on drugs like fentanyl, so they hear all of this shit on the news, and they're like, oh, I don't even want to get near that shit. I'm afraid.
That could be.
But it could be some,
that.
like, more drug propaganda. Like,
very well could be. See, but if that's the case, I think it would be edited.
Here, let me show you the video. So the dude, the other officer, was like, no, back up, you're getting too close to it.
Yeah.
And this guy clearly doesn't touch it on camera, and he fucking, like, dies because of it. Not dies. He basically
he
drops.
Doesn't seem to be having a seizure.
Like he's overdosed.
Like he's probably having... There's a different type of seizure where you don't move at all.
He could have been having, like, an anxiety attack. Like, he could have just been...
True.
Shook because he thought that he was getting too close to it. Like, they probably don't teach these cops, like, information about these drugs. No. They just know that it's fucking illegal.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're specifically going out and trying to find fentanyl. They're just looking for dealers. And it just happens to come along with the other shit that they're selling.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's interesting just thinking, like, the war on drugs angle, just showing, like, oh, this scary drug is so scary because...
it is a scary drug, but...
You can die just by looking at it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that, like, the news reports after that were like, thank God they're okay.
Yeah.
He almost touched fentanyl. It's like, come on, bro.
They're outside.
It was outside. It wasn't like it was in the air.
There's no way it's going to be that concentrated in the air.
It wasn't
outside like that.
Yeah.
Definitely some propaganda, though, like the way that it's played out.
Yeah.
The way the news was reporting it. Like, you can tell who puts money in whose pocket sometimes.
Think about how much of it all can just be like a cycle. Like, just the cops feeding into media narratives and the media narratives feeding off the cops. Just spreading...
That's the hottest take we've ever said.
Misinformation.
But it's true. It's so true.
A lot of these systems are interconnected.
If the news makes money off of, like, worry and anxiety and fear because that's what sells,
and it's making these officers fear, and it almost becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy, not even in this specific example, but just in general, it can end up like that. That got deep.
That was deep, but I fucking loved that.
So, have you seen this Kyrie Irving thing?
Not really, no.
Well, we've already talked about it on the podcast, so
I haven't heard any more about it.
So, he hasn't been playing. He hasn't been allowed to play because the coach was like, we're fully prepared to have Kyrie half the time, half the season. And then the upper level management of the Brooklyn Nets were like, we are not going to have Kyrie play part-time for this team. Because that would end up being, more of a distraction than it already is, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, you go away, you have Kyrie, you lose a game, and then you come back
that's
home
the situation.
And you win a game. And then there's drama in the locker room at that point.
I'm sure there would be. Okay, so if that's the situation, what has he said about it? Has he said anything new?
Yes, he has said something new. Because it came out that he was unvaccinated.
I saw some article come up, and I was like, I don't have time to read that.
He basically... He said that he didn't have it. He asked for people to respect his privacy and his wishes. He said that he didn't want to do it. And then he kind of shifted it after he was receiving backlash.
And started talking about it?
Like a social justice perspective, being like, he said that he wanted to be like the voice for the voiceless.
That's so stupid. Oh my God, don't make yourself out to be a savior. It never goes well.
Well, he is painting himself to be like a savior, but it's like, if you really felt like that, you would have said that off rip and not when you started getting criticism.
Very true.
Like, that's a shitty reason to do anything.
That just means you're flippy-floppy, wishy-washy, fucking stupid, and you're like, well, fuck, here's my excuse.
Yeah.
Just man up, say what you need to say.
And be real about it.
Be real.
Like, I guess there isn't anything real about, like,
that
entertainment and shit.
There's nothing real about that opinion, though. Like, shut up. Nobody needs to know.
Well, there are people that are fighting against this mandate that are vaccinated.
Yeah.
It's like a choice thing. And I think it becomes a gray area at that point because, herd immunity is a thing. And
it just is so hard to get there.
You're making a decision for other people. You're not just making a decision for yourself.
Okay, so more current events. Papa John was in the news recently. There was an article written about him where they, went through his house and shit. I've seen pictures of his house before. He's got this giant statue in the entry of a snake fighting an eagle or some shit. He said it really speaks to him. In his dining room, which can seat 30 plus people, he has murals on the ceilings of angels and little cupids and shit like that.
Papa John is rich.
Rich. But, okay, so he's a regular at my job. He said to one of my coworkers that he was going as a Papa John's employee for Halloween because he's not employed by them anymore. He's retired, but he had pizza boxes he was going to carry around with him. He was going to be in the uniform for the delivery guy. He said, sometimes you just got to laugh at yourself. And he always comes in looking like he's just worked out. Yeah. He drives a giant,
sweaty as fuck because he always is.
A giant, obnoxious truck. He is always very sweaty. He looks like a pepperoni. But in this article, it just shows how grossly wealthy he is. Honestly, he has a helicopter and shit. I'm pretty sure
he'd be helicoptering.
One of my coworkers also said they went to his house one time with their friends, and he asked how young the women they were with were, and they said their age, they're in their mid-20s, early 20s, and he responds with, oh, they look younger. He wanted them to be younger. He also made them a drink called the Papa. I would not drink the Papa.
Are you kidding?
I'm not kidding.
Bro.
This is all the truth. This is all the truth from at least what I know.
I didn't know that the Papa John's had I didn't know that Papa John had his own
might not
mixed
be
drink.
I mean,
until
he's
now, but now I can't think about anything else but wanting to taste that on my lips one day.
Almost shut the fuck up. He might not be racist, but he's probably racist, and that is what it is. But he is definitely a cringy human being. Some people are just cringy in every aspect.
He's memeable.
He absolutely is a memeable person.
I strive to be that memeable.
Who else is like that? That one
living memes.
That one old dude who is a stock image meme.
Yeah.
who just looks like that in real life.
Just like he's experiencing great tragedy. And he's
No
trying to
matter
smile
what is
through it.
happening.
I love that guy.
Me too. Long live the uncomfortable face, man. That's me anytime I have to take a family photo.
I'm pretty bad at smiling inorganically, but I've gotten better at it just because it's like a
It is a
business
skill.
thing. You're supposed to like, but it's like
You can
I can't fake
tell when somebody's smiling while they talk. There is a tone to it. It somehow just naturally makes you speak differently. And I can hear that. When somebody I'm working with does that, like that's clearly your customer service voice. You know? And sometimes I'll just 100% drop it. Some people can do it on a dime, and it's hilarious. But the other day I did that when somebody asked about something for the restaurant we just share a building with, beverage, juice place, and I just dropped the customer service tone for, oh yeah, that's inside, because that's not my problem. You're not one of my customers.
Yeah, you're somebody else.
You're somebody else. I'm going to talk to you like you're somebody else.
Damn, I hate to be somebody else.
Sometimes I'm more patient with customers than I am in real life, because there was an old lady today who got halfway through eating her wrap and asked if I could warm it up. And I really wanted to just throw it in the microwave, but she stood right there, of course. So I actually put it in the oven.
Yeah.
But I'm sure she just took so long to eat that half that it got cold by that point. Like,
Stupid
yes,
old lady.
yes, sometimes they don't get heated up enough if they're frozen for the middle. Momo, shut up. For the middle to be cooked all the way. Or, like, to be warmed up all the way, at least. But I really think it was cooked. I think she just was being old. So I was understanding.
I hate old people.
Me too.
I fucking despise them.
My least favorite customer type is old people, for sure. When she came in with her friend, my coworker who took their order, I hopped on the headset and was saying, hey, just blink twice if you need to escape. They look like they could be difficult. Because I can tell. They seem like the couple old ladies who will nitpick everything. And you know what? I get it. You're old. You've earned the right to enjoy the last things you have in life. Enjoy that retirement. And if this is your retirement, like... But sometimes people will just be like, I hate to complain. No, the fuck you don't. You like to complain. It's okay. You're a complainer.
You're a hater.
You're a fucking hater. There will always be haters.
Yeah. There's always going to be one Solange in the elevator.
What the fuck is that?
You don't remember that where Solange slapped the fuck out of Jay-Z in that elevator?
I don't remember that, Louis, because I don't think I've ever seen that.
It was when Jay was cheating on Beyonce. And
That sounds
Solange
hilarious.
slapped the fuck out of him.
That sounds hilarious.
Another day, another dollar, another fucking hate. There's... This is going to be some random shit to bring up at the end of the show, but there's like...
I like leaving people with a cliffhanger.
At my parents' house, there was like this dog that was like trapped in between like these two fences. Not trapped, but he's just been like chilling in there for a minute, and we don't know if he's lost or whatever, because it's not like...
What do you mean he's just been chilling in there for a minute?
Like, he's been there since like yesterday, and he's still there, and we like fed him and shit.
He is
but
probably
it's like,
lost, Louis.
He's definitely lost, and my mom put out like a thing on Facebook. The
Dog between
group.
fence.
Somebody get their dog. It's just a dog like in jail.
What kind of dog?
It's like this purebred husky. It's a beautiful dog. That's why we know it's not like a stray or something like that, because it's just this dog that definitely belongs to somebody.
Oh my god.
And we went into...
If you don't find it, their owner will take them for a little while.
Me and my dad went to the other side of the fence to try to see if like it needed to get out, or if there was just no way it could have even gotten in there in the first place.
The dog could have hopped the fence if it wanted to.
And we were talking to the neighbor, and it was just like this Russian lady, and she was like, "Oh yeah, that dog's just been wandering around my yard for a few days. I don't know what his deal is." And my mom was like, she should be fucking dealing with it if she's known the
she just chose to ignore it.
She's like, "Oh yeah, that's a dog out there.
That's a dog." Oh my god.
Probably afraid it was a wolf. There's not a more wolf-like dog than
True.
a husky.
I love that you just threw in your Russian neighbor to the story. That's beautiful.
Well, there's layers to it.
There's layers.
It's a complicated issue.
Complicated situation.
Scholars will be debating it
in the next millennia. This will perplex many.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week. Make sure to follow us on Instagram. Handles in the description as always. And if you could, share the podcast with someone and give us some feedback. Thank you.